Hello everyone. So today we're going to start talking about one-point perspective. Some of you guys might have some experience with this, some of you may not, so that's why we're just going to go step by step on it so that everybody's on the same page. So with one-point perspective, as you can kind of guess, it only uses 1 point. So whenever we're starting to step through this, just remember there should only be 1 dot on your paper, and you'll know exactly what I mean when we get started. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to take your piece of paper, you're going to take your ruler, make sure the ruler is just a little bit longer than your paper, and we are going to draw a line that is parallel to the bottom or the top of the paper. So I look at the bottom of my paper, and my ruler now is just a little bit skewed, and I tip it so that it's nice and straight. So now I can put it up, I can put it down, anywhere you want to. You are going to put a line called a horizon line. This line stretches from edge to edge on your paper. Get this as parallel as I can. And then I put a line down. So we are basically doing what a picture is, like whenever we're looking outside and we see the sky up above, touch the line where the earth starts. So this is our horizon line right here. Now, anywhere on this line, you may put what we call a vanishing point. This is our 1 point where everything goes to. So I'm just going to snap mine off to the side. You guys can put it in the middle, off to the left, closer to the edge of the paper. But just for this example, I need you guys to make sure that it is on the paper in some way, shape, or form. Once you guys have that 1 dot, our vanishing point, you guys can start drawing your building. So for this project, we are going to start designing our own dream house. So with this dream house, you have to think of all the things that you would really like to have in your future home. So for instance, I might have a 2-story building, I might have a pool, I might have any different types of amenities that I would prefer to live with. So whenever you guys decide on all these different aspects that you like, you guys are going to start to draw a basic home. So remember whenever we were starting to work on that one worksheet that had atmospheric perspective and stuff that showed depth of space? We started to talk about this. Remember how we did just a little square and a triangle up on top and we brought them all back to the vanishing point? This is exactly what we're working on right now. We're just going in and adding more detail to it to make it a lot cooler. So I am going to start doing my basic house. Whenever I'm doing the sides of my house, they have to be parallel with the edge of the paper. I can't have any skewed lines. If I'm doing the bottom or the top, it also has to be parallel, so that way I get a nice square. Mine's going to be nice and tall because I want a 2-story building. And you guys' project doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Today this is just practice, and then later on I'm going to be handing you guys your final paper, and that is what you're going to design your final house on. So today's just kind of a practice day. Okay, there's the pitch of my roof. Now, because my building is solid, I should not be able to see the grass through it. So I'm going to erase this out just to make it a little bit easier on me for later. Perfect. Once I have all of these things erased and it's all nice and crisp and clear, it's being pretty blurry. Remember, past that point, we have to start bringing certain things back to the vanishing point. If we are touching on the inside of a building, I wouldn't be able to see that inside. So that means that I don't have to worry about this corner to draw it back to the vanishing point. I apologize. For this one, because it's going to touch on the inside of the building, I won't be able to use this one to draw back to the vanishing point. But whenever I sit there and I touch my roof, nothing necessarily touches. So this might be one of the ones that I have to test to drag it back to my vanishing point. So I circle that one. Again, this one, I have nothing that touches on the inside, so that means that I'm going to check the pitch of my roof and bring this one back to the vanishing point. draw it in just a little bit closer so you guys can see exactly what I'm working on. And last but not least, the bottom of the building. If I check it, it can go back to the vanishing point and I don't have any issues, nothing blocking it, so that is another one that I'm going to test. So whenever you guys are checking these, we're going to take our ruler. I touch the edge of the building to the edge of the dot, and then I'm going to start drawing my line back to that vanishing point. I don't know why it's being so blurry today. 1 minute. Let's try that. Much better. Okay, so I went from the bottom here, I touched my ruler, and I touched it here as well, and I made sure I held my ruler nice and steady, and then I drew that line. Now I'm going to check this one. Touch the edge of the roof, touch the dot, double check, hold it right in the center, and then draw that back to the vanishing point. Okay. Last but not least, I'm going to check the top of the roof, and it looks like it just goes right across the top of the pitch of the roof, so I won't end up seeing it. This touches that exact same line that this roof pitch does, so I don't have to worry about it at all. So now that I have all of this information, I can decide how big I want my building. So we have this, I can tell that it's about 2 stories. And because it's 2 stories, I'm going to say that my building is probably going to be just a little bit shorter on this side. So I'm going to cut it probably about right here. So because this side is nice and straight, I also need to have another parallel line to distinguish the side of my building. Now, had you guys made your building just a little bit shorter, you might notice that you will have that third pitch of the roof, and it'll be like a triangle shape that goes back. Now, because I have decided that that is the side of my building right here, I have to erase this because, again, this is a solid building. I shouldn't be able to see through it unless it's made of glass. Maybe your building is made of glass. That is up to you. Now that I know all that, I can erase out my converging lines that go to the vanishing point. When lines converge, they come together and they eventually touch each other at one point. So that's why we have 1 point perspective using converging lines. I'm going to erase out my circles just so that I have a nice neat building. And now I can start adding details. Now this is where the tricky part is because you have to always check. Do I need to drag this back to the vanishing point or do I not? If it is facing me directly and I have everything with parallel lines, I do not. This is where I'm going to keep using squares or rectangles. Everything needs to be flat. But if I have this side of the building where I have converging lines, those are sides that I need to make sure that if I have a window, those go back to the vanishing point. So for instance, if I'm going to add some windows up here and maybe a door, I need to, 1, draw some windows and make sure that they are parallel with the top and the bottom of this shape. Leave a little bit of space. Have a nice big window. Again, I have lines that are parallel with each other, so I need to make sure that these are parallel as well. Have a little sill on it. Maybe some curtains poking through here. Okay, now that I have that window, I need to add a door so we can walk into it. Again, because this is one with the straight edges, I should have a door that has straight angles as well. So this edge of the door is parallel to this side. The top of the door is parallel to the top or bottom of the building, and so is this side of the door. Perfect. Now, when I'm starting to add details on this side, like I had said before, we need to make sure that these converge on our vanishing point. So what I will have to do is just decide how tall I want the windows or any other details that I want. I do this one side. This, step 1, has to be parallel with the side of the buildings. Okay? Then I determined how long I want it. So if I want it to be just a smaller window, I just put another line here. It doesn't necessarily matter how long or short it is because later on we can erase it. Now, this point and this point, they both end, so we need to pull them back to the vanishing point. So I touch it to the top of the window and to my vanishing point, double check both, and then I bring it back to the vanishing point. Oops, I was just a little bit off, so I need to try that again. Perfect. I take the bottom of the window back to the vanishing point. And now I have my window. Any of the other lines just need to be erased. So, I have a window now that goes on this side and it gets smaller as it goes away. That's how perspective works. So when things are further away from us, it looks like they get smaller, even though necessarily they aren't. So if it's on this side of the window, this is closer to us than what's on the right-hand side. So I'm going to draw a little bit of a curtain again. This one's going to be thicker and wider. This one's going to be a little bit smaller and further away. And then I'm just going to add one more window. Again, I make it parallel. I determine how tall I want it. I take this and this, the top and the bottom of the window, back to the vanishing point. I can always figure out the other side later. So touch, back, touch both, and back. Then I'm going to chop it off here at the edges of those lines, and again I have my window. I use those vanishing points and converging lines. Now, one thing that I really enjoy is having a patio. So I'm going to draw some materials that come up off of here so that I could step off onto my porch and have a nice area to sit in, even if it was raining. So if I'm going to have a porch, actually, I'm going to erase this window. I'm going to have the porch off on this side, so we're going to have a nice big sliding glass door. If I want a sliding glass door again, parallel, take this. You don't have to worry about the bottom because it touches the bottom of the building, and I take the top back to the vanishing point. If you need to, you can use your ruler. Because I've been practicing so long, I don't necessarily have to use it. So here's my sliding glass door. It's got that little track on the inside. Okay, and erase out the rest of my lines if I don't need them anymore. For the top of my awning, I determine how tall I want it, take that back to the vanishing point so it's a little bit taller than our horizon line. Determine how long I want it, so it's going to stop right there. How far out I want it, so I'm going to have it probably dangling out about this far. Take it back, connect these two lines. Then I have to measure about the same distance here, so how long this is. So if you need to, pull your pencil up to it. So I take the tip of my pencil and then the bottom of my thumb, and then I put that right here on that exact same line just to determine how wide it needs to be. And I connect these two. That is my awning. Now I need something to support it, so I'm going to add some posts down. So because this has to touch with the edge of the building, I'm going to draw this back. Oop, and I was just right. That one ends right there. That helps support this. Maybe I'll have a concrete pad. Draw this straight. Draw this back. Cut this out. So I'm just slowly but surely adding all these little materials that I really like. Steps up. I'm not too terribly fond of pools, but I do like the woods, so I'm going to add some woods, trees in the back of my building. Draw this back. Perfect. But if you guys like pools, you can do yours as well. My awning isn't see-through, so I erased out all that details. Now I'm going to slowly but surely add some trees. I'm going to draw this back up. And wherever I have trees, again, they're not see-through. So eventually we're going to have to go back and erase out the horizon line because our trees are attached to the ground. Okay. So erase this outside of the tree. So that way my tree is nice and solid. Then add some more trees behind it, and because they're getting further away, they're going to get smaller and smaller, and skinnier and skinnier. Okay, so I have a fair amount of trees back here. Just got to make sure I erase out those horizon lines so they aren't see-through. If I wanted to add a driveway, so maybe my garage is back here on the back of the building and the road ends here. This is where my driveway would be. You guys can draw the coolest car in the driveway if you care about that. Again, if you're doing any sort of road, it's got to get skinnier as it goes away. If you guys want to do a straight road, like maybe you park the cars down in here, you would just have to draw these back from the vanishing point. So as wide as you want it, you draw those 2 points and you take them both back to that vanishing point. So like I said, everything goes back to this if it has any sort of angle on it. Okay? So, maybe I'm going to draw a little car back here. Make it look like my car. Okay, so that's most of everything. If you guys want to add in grass or plants, just try to make this look like a natural setting. So you can add in clouds. You guys can add in the sun if the sun is setting. Just don't put it up in the corner because I know that you guys know better than that. So I got some clouds up here. Got the sun setting right behind this set of clouds. Okay. The more you add, the more realistic it's going to look. Okay? Let me know if you guys have any problems or difficulties with our practice day, and just start thinking about the things that you want on your final picture. Okay? Think about all the things that you really, really care about. What are you interested in? Do you want a huge gaming room? Do you want a pool? Like I said, you just think about all these different things that you actually care about and want, and I'll help you design them if you get stuck. Okay? Do your best, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you.